Welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. When you're ready to transform your sales for today's transforming market, we've got you covered. With your host, the queen of cold calling and founder of Salesology, award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and coach, Wendy Weiss.
Hi, welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. And I'm your host, Wendy Weiss. I am the founder of Salesology and the Salesology Prospecting Method. And I'm also known as the queen of cold calling. Today, we have a very special guest. My guest is Adam Houlihan. He is the founder of Prominence Global. And Adam is an international keynote speaker. He specializes in LinkedIn strategies for entrepreneurs, and he is the CEO of one of the few truly global LinkedIn agencies, Prominence Global. Adam hosts what is arguably the world's largest free online LinkedIn training event with thousands of people registering, and he does this 5 times a year. He is considered to be one of the world's leading experts in harnessing the power of LinkedIn for business. Adam's also the author of 3 Amazon best-selling books, Social Media Secret Sauce. Say that quickly 5 times. The LinkedIn Playbook, and Influencer. Adam co-authored a 4th international bestseller, Better Business, Better Life, Better World. Love the title. And Adam believes that real and meaningful change comes through the world's entrepreneurs. And his purpose is to positively impact 12 million people in need. And he's already surpassed 8 million impacts on the way to that target of 12 million. So welcome, Adam Houlihan.
Wendy, it's wonderful to be here with you, and kind of on the opposite side of the world. You're like New York and we're in Australia. You couldn't get more, almost further apart.
That's right. It's early in the morning for you right now.
It is.
So, and it's the end of my day. So thank you for being here. And so I'd like to begin, actually at the beginning. How did you, what was your journey to becoming such an expert in LinkedIn and leading this global LinkedIn agency, Prominence Global?
Yeah, it's probably started about roughly 10 years ago now, Wendy, and actually probably even a little bit more than that. And I was actually running a business for someone else. It was quite a big organic skincare of all things. And based here in Australia, but we were exporting to like 65 countries around the world. As part of that job, I was researching what other organizations doing similar things to this company were doing, and turned out that they were just really good early adopters of social media. And so I kind of got hooked on this whole concept of social media for business, not so much for I'm not really that active in a personal sense, in a social sense, but I really kind of gravitate towards it in a business sense. And the more and more I delved into it, the more I just resonated with LinkedIn. And as being the head of this, pretty decent sized company, I was actually able to reach out to the early sort of LinkedIn specialists and things of the day, and sort of just learn from them. And anyway, down the path a few years, I decided I was going to get back into my own business, which had been my, prior to running this company for these people, I'd always had my own businesses in the past. And I thought, it's time to get back into my own business. And I thought, I'm going to just start a bit of a LinkedIn consultancy. It was just me, and I had a VA helping me in the Philippines. And it was really just like a side hustle. I was just started out, just thought, I'll just help a few people implement stuff for their business. And of course, I was using LinkedIn to find clients, and it kind of just kept growing and growing and growing to the point where I couldn't really ethically stay working for this other organization and do this together. So I left that job, went full in on doing that consultancy. And here we are. That was 7 years ago when I made that decision. And here we are today. We've started out me and a part-time VA, and now we're a team of 20 rock stars who are all based all over the world, in the US, UK, Philippines, parts of Europe, New Zealand, Australia, a global client base. And it's been a bit of a rise for sure.
Okay, that's a wonderful story. And I'm curious about your purpose, because you've said that your purpose is to positively impact 12 million people in need, and you've already surpassed 8 million impacts. So how?
Yeah, it's one thing we did right from the start. We aligned with a organization called B1G1. It means buy one, give one. And you can check that out. B1G1.com is their website. And essentially what we did was we created this system where whenever somebody did something with us, we made sure something good happened in the world, whether we work together or not. And it's like, you were talking about our events that we run. So every time anyone that registers for one of those events, we make sure a child gets education for a day. Someone buys one of my books, we make sure, 11 children get access to, in countries where eyesight is a real problem. So we make sure they get access to medications to make sure they can see better. So we aligned all these impacts with the things that we do. And of course, when people do come and work with us, we make sure really big impacts happen. So as an example, when someone joins one of our programs, we pay to build a what's called a biosand filter for a family, which will ensure they get fresh water for 20 years. So it's all these little impacts that are reactive to people doing things with us. And collectively, as you mentioned, our goal a while ago when we started doing this was to hit 12 million impacts in the way we do that. We will actually hit that this year. You just mentioned, 8 million. We've actually just almost passed 9.5 million yesterday. So we will definitely hit that 12 million this year.
Well, that is truly amazing, Adam, because what I thought you were going to say is, oh, yes, we've worked with 8 million people and taught them about LinkedIn. So kudos to you for not saying that, but for doing something else that makes a different and even bigger impact. I'm very impressed. So.
Thank you. By the way, I wouldn't mind talking to 8 million people about LinkedIn, but it isn't that.
Yeah. So let's talk about LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has really changed over the years. And so I'm wondering, how does someone make an impact on LinkedIn today? Because I know just from my own personal experience, when someone reaches out to me and says, let's connect, years ago, I looked at them and they looked credible and interesting. I'd say, sure. Now I look at them and go, I don't know. Are you going to spam me? So how do you stand out on LinkedIn? How do you position yourself in such a way that LinkedIn's going to actually work for you?
It's a great question. And as you mentioned just at the start there, it's changed quite a bit. The rate of change on LinkedIn is absolutely phenomenal. And that's why when those, you talked about those 5 events we host, which is roughly every 10 weeks. And what they're about is exactly that. They're about, we just update people on all the things that have changed on LinkedIn in the last 10 weeks. And there's always enough in that 10 weeks to fill a webinar about it. So the rate of change is rapid. Almost all of it very, very positive, to be honest, Wendy. They're good things that they're changing. But it does pose the exact question that you raised is, how do you stand out? How do you really leverage the platform well? And it's really a 4-part process, which starts with your profile. You've got to have, a really professionally presented profile. As you mentioned, people want to connect with you, and you do exactly the right thing. You go and look at their profile and make an assumption based on probably, you probably spend maybe 20, 30 seconds at best looking at that profile before you decide, yes, you're going to connect or no, you're not. So that's the first thing. You got to have a really professional profile. The second is about that connection strategy, like how you go about, connecting with people. And the worst thing you can do is just send that generic connection request that has no message as to why you want to connect, or even worse, send a message. So, and I'm sure you've received some of these ones too, Wendy, where they send you a message saying, "Hey, I'd like to connect because I've got this fantastic solution that's going to revolutionize your business," or words to that effect. We know straight away that's a sales pitch coming, and we're going to just check out of that one straight away. So it's how you go about connecting in a professional manner, and also being very strategic in how you do that, in both how you send those connection requests and in the ones you accept. And as you said, we're all fairly selective these days. It used to be that we all had that dopamine hit of, hey, someone wants to connect with me, so I'm gonna accept it because it's another connection. But most of us are a little bit more discerning these days. So we do tend to look a little deeper. And that leads into the third pillar of how you go about that, which is very much around your content. So you've got to have, and that's the thing, often when people do check out a profile, they'll look at the profile, they'll possibly even look at the content they're sharing. Again, if that content's really sales pitchy all the time or really low quality, it lowers our opinion of that person. Conversely, if they're sharing really high value content, it's clearly stuff that I would personally be interested in. Therefore, they're sending me a connection request knowing that I'd be interested in the type of content I'm sharing. Then that elevates your profile massively. And to give you just some numbers on that, Wendy, you might find this surprising, but there's roughly 900 million people on LinkedIn right now. Not quite, but we're almost hit the 900 million. Of that 900 million, there's only 1% of that 900 million that share content on a regular basis. Regular meaning like once a week. And only 1% of that 1% that share content that even LinkedIn considers worthy of being on the platform. Therefore, it's like less than 0.02% of people on LinkedIn are sharing information that is of a high enough value that even LinkedIn want to share it out and promote it to the community. And you can look at that in two ways. You can look at it and say, well, clearly LinkedIn is just too hard. There's only so few people are getting it right. Or conversely, you could look at it and say, well, if I'm one of those people, then this platform is amazingly powerful for me. And that's essentially what we do with our clients, is make sure they sit in that top 0.02%, doing everything right. So LinkedIn's organically promoting them to, other members of the community, and therefore they get great traction. The fourth part, of course, is, all that work has to lead to something. You've got to get an outcome for your time investment or your financial investment if you're working with agencies to help you. And of course, what that is you've got to deliver enough value to people that they would willingly want to do things with you. They might, that could be they might jump on a call with you, come to an event you're hosting, download a free resource that you're sharing, whatever that next step is. If you're seen by those people to be, highly credible, expert in your field of what you do, then they're very open to those next steps. And that's the four pillars of success, as we call it.
Okay, so let's go back to this idea of sharing value, because how do you know that what you are sharing, I mean, you might post something that you think has great value, but how do you know that it actually has great value for the people you want to actually talk to?
Yeah, well, it's a good question, isn't it? And the easy litmus test on that is really, are people engaging with it? Like, if nobody interacts with it, nobody likes it, nobody comments on it, nobody shares it, then there's your answer, what they consider of it. Of course, if they are interacting with it, and that's in many ways. They can like, comment, or share the post. They can also come to you and you're sending you connection requests. And I often get connection requests saying, hey, I saw this post you shared and it was really insightful. I'd love to connect with you. Or they'll get your email address off your profile, and they'll reach out to you and say, hey, I saw what you shared on LinkedIn, and I really resonated with that. Can you tell me more? There's all these things that people do. Some people are not overly open to sharing on social platforms. And it's what we call the silent majority. So many of them will reach out to you very privately. They'll direct message you, or they'll get your email and email you instead of interacting on your content. Some of them will definitely interact on your content for sure. So yeah, it's really a matter, I suppose, a bit of a test and measure. Work out, try things, see what people resonate with, see what they don't. But as a general rule, it's going to, if you're always sharing links to things, LinkedIn's going to suppress that content anyway. So what it really is about is thought leadership style content. So sharing, your opinion on what goes on in your industry, your expertise, but it's a process we call know-how with know-how. And what that means is you got to share content that shows that you know how to solve a problem without actually solving the problem. If you solve the problem for people, then they've got no reason to reach out to you. You just solve the problem for them. So yeah, it's a little complicated, but it's when you hear it like that, when you get into a rhythm of it, it's not too difficult. So think of it as positioning yourself as the not putting tickets on yourself or boasting about yourself, but showing that you have real expertise. And if I use you as an example, Wendy, you are clearly an expert in what you do. You don't need to solve the problem for people through your content. You just need to show them that you're the expert, and you show them you understand what the problems they're going through are, and that the solution to their problem is to reach out to you and talk to you. That's the outcome you want to get.
Oh, well, absolutely. So, but I do wonder, what about somebody that maybe doesn't have a lot of connections on LinkedIn yet, a lot of followers on LinkedIn, so they're posting all this great content. Who sees it?
Well, the good news is that, you talk about these changes in LinkedIn, and it used to be that, you had to have lots of connections to get that traction. Of course, that could be very time consuming and take a long time. These days, the way the algorithms work is it doesn't rely on how many connections you have. Albeit I will preface that by saying you have to have more than 500. 500 is kind of a magic number that when you go past that, your visibility on the platform is much higher. So if you're under 500, you do need to get past that as quick as you can. After that, it's really about LinkedIn looking for the type of content you're sharing. And if it is good value and it stays in a lane, like a niche of expertise, where they can understand, remember, these are all algorithms, not people, where their algorithms can kind of say, okay, we know when Wendy posts content, it's always about this subject, and we know all the people on the platform who possibly would be interested in that. And she's never sharing content that's over promotional. She's never sharing content that's got links that take me to a website and all that type of thing. Therefore, we more than happily will show that to more people than what she's connected to. And so, yeah, you can, generally speaking, the goal we do work with our clients, regardless of how many connections they have, that their content is being seen by between 25 and 50,000 people per month. And that's essentially generally the range they sit in, whether they have 1,000 connections or 20,000 connections.
Okay. I want to find out some more about these algorithms. I was actually reading on your LinkedIn profile today about algorithms, and but we're going to pause here from a word from our sponsor, and then when we come back, we'll talk algorithms, because I do want to know more. But now we have a word from our sponsor, Salesology, 81 tools to grow your sales and your business faster, more easily, and more profitably. Are you stuck because you can't find the right sales and marketing resources to help you grow your business? Or maybe you're sick of spending hours hunched over your computer researching and looking for what you need instead of selling and generating revenue. Or maybe you're frustrated and confused because you can't find what you need at an affordable price. Well, never fear, because Salesology, we have you covered. We've done the research, we've vetted all the sales and marketing tools, so you can save hours of work because you no longer have to hunt for what you need. Download 81 tools to grow your sales and your business faster, more easily, and more profitably. It's free. Just click on the link in the show notes, and you will be glad you did. And we are back with our special guest, Adam Houlihan, who is the founder of Prominence Global, and we are talking all things LinkedIn. And let's talk LinkedIn algorithms, because I was reading your article today. It seems like the algorithms change every 5 minutes. And I was reading that you need to have an algorithmically aligned profile. So what does that mean?
Yeah, Wendy, I could talk about algorithms all day, so be careful what you wish for here.
Well, I am a former ballet dancer. I count up to 8 and then I start over. So let's keep it simple.
Nice. So there's different type of algorithms, obviously. I wouldn't say they change that quickly, but they're obviously all algorithms on all platforms are constantly updating. But in regard to a profile, so it's looking for areas on your profile. There's certain areas on your profile that the LinkedIn algorithms are looking for as far as classifying you. So as an example, it will be the professional headline. That's the text that's literally straight underneath your profile image. It's looking at what you put in there. So what we say is you generally want to talk about the outcomes that people get when they work with you. That's the best thing to put in that section. There's a tool called Creator Mode. And you definitely, I'm going to preface this by saying, provided you're going to share good quality content, Creator Mode will be your best friend. What it also does is allows you to put for up to, it doesn't have to be 5, but up to 5 hashtags on your profile. And you'll see, again, if you look at my profile, under that professional headline, it says talks about, and it's got 5 hashtags. Now, that's a clear indicator of what your content should be about. And so, it's seriously, when they give you the hint, Adam talks about and gives you 5 hashtags, that's what your content should be about. That's what they're looking for, to see that there's an alignment between what you put in those hashtags and what your content is actually about. And it kind of needs to stay in, when I was talking about, staying in a niche, staying in a lane, that's what it is. And you'll see mine talks about, LinkedIn and personal branding and webinars. And you'll see there's one there that's a personal hashtag. In mine, it's called Adam's View. What that means is that on every single piece of content, I need to put that hashtag Adam's View. So when people then want to go and look for more content, literally they only have to click that hashtag and all of my content come up in one place. The other areas that are important are your position description, what role you give yourself. And so you introduced me as the founder of our company, which clearly I am, but when you look at my profile, it will not say that. And the reason is that a lot of the marketers, as you talked about earlier, getting all that, you worried about that spam, when they go searching and using tools on LinkedIn to find people to connect with, the key thing they use is whatever you put in that professional headline. So if you put things like founder, owner, partner, president, vice president, these are red rags to the marketing bulls, and that's how they're going to target you. So use terms that people who are looking for your services would search for. And in my case, you see, it doesn't say founder, it says LinkedIn expert. So if they're searching for something, they're not going to search for founder of a LinkedIn agency. They're just going to search for something like LinkedIn expert. What the marketers will, again, the marketers also won't search for founder of a LinkedIn agency. They'll search for founder or owner or partner. So it's these algorithmic alignment means making sure that all these key areas have the right type of information.
Well, I just learned something really important. So thank you for that, Adam. And I will be editing my profile immediately. Um, so I was also reading on your LinkedIn profile about marketing not having to be really complicated or really, really expensive. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So on LinkedIn, paid ads are quite expensive. They're deliberately so. The reason is LinkedIn doesn't want the platform full of ads. So they know people want to advertise. That clearly they want the revenue from advertising as well. So they keep the ads quite expensive in relation to other platforms. But they will also give you very good free traction, free organic traction, often higher than you can get in the paid ads, if you play by their rules, which is what I was sort of sharing before, making sure your profile kind of gives them indicators as to who your market are, the people you're connecting with. They can see an alignment between that and your content is clearly designed for that market. If you do that, they're actually quite happy to also give you a lot of free organic traction. So it's the difference between paid ad strategies and a content-driven thought leadership strategy. And that's the difference.
So is your thought leadership strategy automated, or it's all done? It sounds like it's not automated.
No, it's really well-written content. There's a framework to it, but it's written, either by you or, you outsource it to copywriters. Now, a word of caution.
The connections, connection requests.
Oh, the connection. Oh, sorry, I'm with you. You can only send 100 a week. So, obviously LinkedIn does not like those automation tools. There's lots of them around, but I would highly recommend that you just, which doesn't mean to say it's necessarily you as the founder of the organization. You might have someone on your team doing it. Look, you can use the automation tools, but, often automation is very obvious and that takes away from that thought leadership sort of positioning. So a word of caution is all I'm going to say is if you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. The connection request that is immediately followed by a message that says, here's everything we do. Here's a link to my calendar.
Yeah.
And those are all clearly all automated, or a VA, not in this country, doing those. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you have a free gift. You have a gift for all of our listeners. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Wendy, look, it's something that everyone would find if they're interested in how well their LinkedIn profile and strategy is performing. It essentially takes you through those 4 pillars we just talked about and gives your profile a ranking on how well you're doing in each 4. And then it gives you back a report saying, hey, you're good at this, you're not so good here, but in this area you're not so good at, here's how you fix that. So it's a really, we had, I think about 2,000 people use it already. And love to gift that to everyone and help them just get a little bit of an improvement in what they're doing.
Okay. Yeah. And we will be posting the link to Adam's gift, to Adam's assessment, in the show notes. So as soon as you finish listening to this podcast, then go immediately to the show notes and click on the link. And I know I will be doing that because I've learned so much from what Adam has had to say today, and I want to see how I'm doing on LinkedIn. So I will be doing the assessment as well. So you have been listening to Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders with our special guest, my special guest, Adam Houlihan, who is the founder of Prominence Global. And if you have found value in listening to today's podcast, then think about one business owner or one entrepreneur or one sales professional that you know that you think might also find value in listening to today's podcast. And please do share the link with them. And as always, till we meet again, visualize yourself surrounded by cash really large bills.
You've been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. Be sure to follow so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every week for more exciting insights and wisdom on transforming sales. And until next time, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, very large bills.